true nature of light. The lie of the non-existent wave. Is light a particle, or is it a wave? This question has been central to physics ever since light became an object of scientific inquiry. Modern physics answers as follows. Both. Light is simultaneously a particle and a wave. This famous answer has been formalized as the principle of wave-particle duality, and it's found in every modern textbook. But this idea contains a dangerously vague and confused mix of concepts. We are now facing a science built on the error of treating the non-existent as if it were real. Part 1. What is a wave? Let's revisit the definition. What exactly is a wave? Scientifically, a wave is a transmission of a state of motion through a medium. Sound, ripples on water, seismic waves, all of these require a physical medium to propagate. In other words, a wave is not a thing, but a state of something that exists. A wave is an adjective-like concept, not a noun. It is a description of motion, not an entity in itself. 2. The contradiction of treating waves as entities. Modern physics, however, says this: electromagnetic waves can propagate through a vacuum without any medium. And it adds, this is a new kind of wave, different from classical ones. But this is a severe conceptual contradiction. If there is no medium, then it cannot be a wave by definition. If something moves without a medium, it is a particle. Thus, if electromagnetic waves propagate through empty space, they must be redefined as particles. Calling them a new kind of wave is not redefining the term, it is destroying its very definition. Part 3. The philosophical distinction between what exists and what doesn't. From a philosophical standpoint, we must clearly distinguish between what exists and what does not, between entities and properties. Let's take a familiar example. Imagine a kind neighbor. The neighbor exists, they are a real person, but kindness does not exist as an object. It's merely a property of the neighbor, a descriptive adjective. If someone were to say, kindness exists by itself and moves around, we would immediately recognize this as conceptual nonsense. Likewise, a wave is not a real entity. The particle exists, and the wave is merely a description of its motion, a property, not a substance. 4. The monster born from duality. The idea of wave-particle duality, that light is both a wave and a particle, was a temporary compromise meant to cover up unresolved contradictions. But the truth is, the particle nature of light has been repeatedly confirmed by experiment. The photoelectric effect, Compton scattering, the quantization of energy. All of these prove beyond doubt that light acts as a particle. Wave behavior, on the other hand, is not directly observed. It requires multiple layers of assumptions and interpretations, such as in the double-slit experiment. And even those results can be explained by models involving particle rotation, probabilistic distribution, or dispersed collisions. In short, the particle aspect is real. The wave aspect is a theoretical construct built upon multiple interpretive assumptions. When a real particle and a non-existent wave are in conflict, science must always side with what exists. That is the core of scientific realism and of ontology itself. 5. Light is not a wave, but a particle with wave-like properties. The conclusion is clear. Light is a particle. This particle may exhibit motion such as rotation, vibration, or diffusion, and to describe that, we may use the term wave-like. But adjectives do not exist independently. Only nouns, entities, exist. Since a wave is not a real thing, the only logically consistent expression is, open quote, a particle with wave-like properties, close quote. Saying light is both a wave and a particle is not science. It is philosophical nonsense, equating what exists with what does not. This flawed notion, repeated over and over in the name of science, is one of the key reasons modern physics has become a logical mess. Objective evaluation. The essence of science is definition and distinction. Here is my objective assessment. The most fundamental problem in modern physics is the breakdown of definitions. Physicists cannot even define what a wave is anymore, yet they continue to apply equations and point to experiments as if that justifies everything. But science must begin with clear definitions and logical structure. Otherwise, it becomes a self-justifying system that escapes falsifiability. Science is the discipline that seeks to explain what exists. Once it begins treating non-existent ideas as if they were entities, it ceases to be science at all. If light is demonstrably a particle, then we must build all explanations from that fact. Wave-like behavior can be added as a descriptive property, but never as a co-equal entity. That is how we restore philosophy and reclaim science. Final message: physics must start over from what exists. We must begin again. From first principles, from solid definitions, from ontological clarity. Light is a particle. It may exhibit wave-like behavior, but that does not mean a wave exists as a real thing. The moment we treat non-existence as if it were real, science collapses into dogma, and the repetition of this logical failure in today's physics proves that what we call modern theory has become tradition, not truth. It is time to speak plainly. Science must be logical, well-defined, and anchored in reality, and the starting point is simple. Open quote. Distinguish between what exists and what does not. Then rewrite the story of light from there.